Today, we explore a moving story about prejudice, dedication, and life-changing surprises. The story begins at a renowned Mercedes showroom where Mr. Anderson, an elderly man with a modest appearance, steps in to inquire about a luxury car. Instead of receiving a warm welcome, he faces indifference, mockery, and even insults from the staff. Cold stares and dismissive remarks nearly drive him out. But Mr. Anderson maintains a remarkable calmness. Enter Sarah, a new employee whose respectful and patient approach stands out despite opposition and jealousy from her colleagues. What changes might Sarah's attitude inspire? Who is Mr. Anderson really? Why is his patience pivotal to a significant lesson? This narrative will take you on an emotional journey full of surprises and leave a profound message about respect and human dignity. Don't miss this impactful story. If meaningful stories resonate with you, subscribe to follow the developments. Your support motivates us to deliver deeper, more humanistic tales. What would you do in Sarah's or Mr. Anderson's position? Share your thoughts in the comments. Inside the luxurious Mercedes showroom, the crystal lights glistened, reflecting off the glossy finishes of the expensive cars. An elderly man stepped in, moving with calm but deliberate steps. His worn suit, polished yet old shoes, and a rustic wooden cane in his hand made him stand out in this space-flaunting opulence. His eyes wandered across the cars, stopping in admiration before a Mercedes S-Class. He leaned in, lightly touching the polished bodywork, his gaze filled with both admiration and contemplation. In one corner, a group of employees gathered, chatting animatedly. They made no attempt to hide their indifference as they noticed the elderly man enter. One of them glanced his way and muttered, "Look at that old man. What's he doing here?" "This is Mercedes, not some vintage car museum," snickers followed. Another added, "Maybe he's just here to grab a brochure and show it off to his neighbors like, 'Here's the car I didn't buy.'" The mocking remarks didn't stop the old man's stride. He approached the reception desk where a young woman was focused on her computer screen. "Excuse me, could you kindly call a consultant for me?" he asked, his voice gentle and courteous. Without looking up, she typed a few more keystrokes and replied, "Sure, one moment yet." She made no further effort. He waited a few seconds, then quietly made his way back to a chair near the entrance. Sitting down, he rested his wooden cane on the armrest, his eyes still patiently scanning the display cars. From the corner, the hushed chatter continued unabated. "He must think this is some public exhibition hall, just wandering around for fun." Another voice laughed derisively. "Or maybe he's planning to pay in installments over 50 years. A few bucks a month." The old man remained still, hands clasped together, his expression betraying no emotion. However, the slight tightening of his grip on the cane revealed something stirring within him. The laughter softened as one of the employees decided to approach him. With a nonchalant air, the young man folded his arms and stood before the elderly gentleman. "Excuse me, sir, are you sure you're in the right place? This is Mercedes, not a used car lot." The old man slowly looked up, his eyes clear but composed as he gazed directly at the employee. After a moment of silence, he responded, "I'm aware this is Mercedes. I came here to inquire about the cars. Could you assist me?" The employee smirked, his voice laced with condescension. Perhaps you're looking for something more affordable. I'm afraid this car," he gestured towards the S-Class on display, "might be a bit out of your range." From afar, laughter broke out once again. "Exactly. Maybe he's just here to dream about a car he can't afford yet." The old man remained unflinching. He looked directly at the employee in front of him, his voice calm but each word resounding clearly. "Do you know what's more valuable than a luxury car?" The employee hesitated briefly, then shrugged. "And what might that be, sir?" The old man's eyes narrowed, sharp and unwavering. "Respect." His words cast a sudden hush over the showroom. The employee pressed his lips together, trying to maintain his composure, but a flicker of embarrassment crept into his expression. The old man returned to his seat, his eyes sweeping over the showroom staff and customers with keen observation. The mocking laughter and condescending gazes seemed to roll off him, but a spark of patience and quiet determination glimmered in his eyes. From the corner, the group of employees continued their whispers. One murmured, "Who does he think he is, speaking like that? He's just some poor old man." Laughter rang out again, but this time the old man paid no mind. Instead, he tilted his head to look at a wall on the far side of the showroom, where a large sign read "Mercedes Excellence, not just in cars but in customer service." A faint, enigmatic smile crossed his face, a smile that carried layers of meaning and intent. Mr. Anderson's journey began under the scrutiny of judgmental eyes and indifferent attitudes at the Mercedes showroom. Despite being dismissed and belittled, he maintained his composure, quietly observing how he was treated. But this was only the beginning of a series of unexpected events yet to unfold. What will come of Mr. Anderson's patience? Stay tuned for the next chapters where disrespect will be laid bare and valuable lessons will gradually emerge. Let us know your thoughts in the comments and keep following this compelling story. The atmosphere in the showroom grew increasingly uncomfortable. After Mr. Anderson returned to his seat, the staff abandoned their facade of courtesy. They gathered near the reception desk, occasionally glancing at him and whispering just loud enough for him to hear. "Is that old man still here? I just don't get it. He's sitting there like he's waiting for some miracle to happen." Another snorted, "Maybe he thinks if he waits long enough, we'll feel sorry for him and give him a car for free." The group burst into laughter, the sound thick with contempt. Though Mr. Anderson clearly heard every word, he remained calm, his eyes quietly observing each person and every action. His unshakable composure only made some of the staff more uncomfortable. A senior employee, his expression cold, approached the waiting area. Clearly impatient, he folded his arms and stood before the elderly man, chin raised in a condescending manner. "Sir, if you're not planning to buy a car, it's best you leave. This isn't a place to sit around and rest." Mr. Anderson looked up, his gaze steady and serene as he asked softly, "Why do you think I'm not planning to buy a car?" The employee smirked. "Because judging by your clothes and the way you came in here, it's hard to believe you can afford anything at all." The staff nearby erupted into laughter again, the sound ringing with mockery. One of them added sarcastically, "Do you think this is a used car dealership, or did you walk into the wrong place?" The senior employee continued, his tone laced with malice, "I think you better go somewhere else. Don't make us call security to escort you out." Even in the face of such disrespect, Mr. Anderson maintained his calm. Slowly, he stood up, adjusted the cane in his hand, and said, "Thank you for reminding me how customers are treated here. I'll leave, if that's truly what you want." With that, he began walking towards the door, his steps deliberate and dignified. Just as he reached the exit, a gentle voice called out from the reception desk, "Excuse me, sir. Is there anything I can help you with?" A young woman in a neatly pressed uniform stepped toward the elderly man. She smiled warmly, her eyes radiating sincerity. Unlike the other staff, she showed no trace of disdain or doubt. "Sorry to keep you waiting, sir," she said gently. "I'm Sarah, a new employee here. May I assist you in finding the car that suits your needs?" The older employees behind her fell silent for a moment, then began whispering among themselves. "That girl has no idea what she's doing. What does she think she'll gain from helping this old man?" One of them scoffed. Another muttered, "Let's see how long it takes her to figure out this customer is just wasting her time." Sarah paid no attention to their remarks. She bowed slightly to the elderly man. "Please, allow me to show you to the VIP lounge for a more comfortable discussion. I'll get you some water and provide detailed information about our cars." The elderly man looked momentarily surprised before offering a faint smile. "Thank you. It's nice to meet someone who cares about customers like that." Sarah led the man to the VIP lounge. She pulled out a chair for him, helped him settle in, and quickly fetched a glass of water from the refreshment counter. Setting it gently on the table before him, she said, "Please enjoy this water. Are there any particular models you're interested in? I can provide additional information to help." The man sipped the water, a satisfied look in his eyes. "Young lady, you're doing a wonderful job. This is exactly how a customer should be treated," he smiled, his gaze warm but with a sharpness that suggested wisdom and experience. Meanwhile, outside the lounge, the group of older employees gathered, their expressions sour with irritation. "What is she doing in there? Who serves water to a customer like that?" one sneered. Another chuckled derisively. "She probably thinks he'll actually buy a car because of that." So naive. But Sarah remained fully focused on her work, unfazed by their gossip. "Have you had a chance to explore any models yet, sir? Or would you like me to provide an overview of our premium vehicles?" she asked the elderly man with a professional and welcoming tone. The man nodded, smiling lightly. "Tell me more about the S-Class I was looking at earlier. It seems very impressive." Sarah dove into her explanation with enthusiasm, detailing the engine, interior, and standout features of the S-Class. The elderly man listened intently, occasionally nodding in agreement. Sarah's passion for her work and attentiveness did not go unnoticed, and the man's pleased expression betrayed his growing appreciation for her efforts. Meanwhile, the senior employees continued mocking from a distance. One scoffed, "Let her keep playing this ridiculous game. Let's see if that old man can pay even a cent." Another chimed in, "She really doesn't understand how things work here. No one has time to waste on people who can't afford anything." Sarah glanced their way briefly but chose to remain silent, focusing instead on her work. She knew she was doing the right thing. In the eyes of the elderly man, her sincerity and dedication spoke volumes. Standing up with a gentle smile, Sarah said, "If you'd like, I can arrange a test drive for you, or I can get more brochures and materials for your reference." The old man looked at her, offering a rare but meaningful smile. "You're doing an excellent job. Thank you." Outside the lounge, the envious stares from her colleagues lingered, filled with bitterness. But Sarah didn't let it bother her. She understood that doing the right thing often required perseverance. Time, she believed, would reveal the truth. The prejudice in the showroom had escalated from indifference to open mockery and even outright insults. Yet Mr. Anderson maintained his composure, patiently waiting for a spark of kindness amidst the cold stares. At just the right moment, Sarah, the young intern, stepped in and chose to act differently, defying her colleagues' disapproval. What will Sarah's actions lead to? Can her kindness and professionalism challenge and reshape the prejudices of those around her? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned to uncover the next twists in this compelling story. In the lounge, the atmosphere grew warmer thanks to Sarah's enthusiasm and dedication. She continued her conversation with Mr. Anderson, meticulously noting down his preferences and needs. Though he didn't reveal much about himself, his interest in the S-Class was evident from the focused look in his eyes whenever Sarah discussed its features. "Are you more interested in the premium leather interior or the advanced safety technology?" Sarah asked, her eyes lighting up as she described the car's unique features. Mr. Anderson nodded, his tone calm. "Both are important. But could you elaborate on the driver assistance systems? At my age, those features would be very beneficial." Sarah quickly provided a clear and thorough explanation, leaving no detail out. She could sense Mr. Anderson's keen attention, which only fueled her passion further. "If you don't mind, I'd like to show you the car in person. It might be easier to visualize everything by seeing and experiencing it directly." With a confident and professional demeanor, Sarah led Mr. Anderson to the S-Class on display in the center of the showroom. She opened the door and invited him to sit in the driver's seat. "I'll explain how these features work so you can get a better understanding." As Mr. Anderson settled in, the comfort of the premium leather seat was evident in his expression. Sarah carefully demonstrated each feature: the touchscreen interface, voice control system, and the seat's massage function. Occasionally, Mr. Anderson asked insightful questions, surprising Sarah with his knowledge and understanding. However, the atmosphere began to shift as a few senior employees noticed Sarah assisting Mr. Anderson with the car. One of them, unable to hide his frustration, approached with a sarcastic tone. "Sarah, what are you doing? Don't you know the rules? Customers who can't afford it aren't allowed to test the cars." Sarah kept her composure and replied calmly, "I'm simply helping the customer understand the car better. It will help him make an informed decision." "An informed decision?" another employee sneered. "He can make all the decisions he wants, but I'm certain buying this car won't be one of them." Sarah felt the weight of the pressure mounting but stood her ground, her gaze resolute. "I believe we shouldn't judge customers by their appearance. Whether he buys the car or not, it's our job to provide comprehensive and professional advice." The senior employees continued to object, but Sarah's determination and convincing words eventually made them back down. "Fine," one of them grumbled, "but don't waste too much time. We don't want to get blamed for indulging in pointless efforts." Sarah smiled, thanked her colleagues, and returned to assisting Mr. Anderson. Despite the tension, she maintained her professionalism, refusing to let the pressure dampen her enthusiasm. After experiencing the car and listening to Sarah's detailed explanations, Mr. Anderson stepped out of the driver's seat, nodding in satisfaction. Turning to Sarah, his eyes full of gratitude, he said, "Thank you so much. You've helped me understand this car better. But I'm afraid I can't afford it right now." Sarah paused for a moment, surprised, but quickly recovered with a warm smile. "That's okay, sir. I'm just glad I could assist you today. If you need more information or want to return at any time, I'll always be here to help." Mr. Anderson nodded, a faint smile crossing his face. I will definitely be back. See you again soon. As he left, Sarah stood by the door, bowing respectfully and with genuine joy. Yet, as soon as the door closed behind him, the mocking voices of her senior colleagues rang out once more. See? Told you. He was just here to look at the cars and then find a way to back out. How much time did she waste just to hear, I can't afford it? What a waste of effort. But Sarah paid no mind to their taunts. She returned to her desk, carefully organizing the materials she had prepared for Mr. Anderson. For her, it wasn't about whether he bought the car but the satisfaction of knowing she had done the right thing and treated him with respect. From a corner of the showroom, Mr. Anderson turned back one last time, his gaze lingering on Sarah. The smile on his face deepened, as though he was reflecting on something. The showroom returned to its usual atmosphere, but no one noticed that a surprising twist was quietly unfolding, born from Mr. Anderson's composure and Sarah's heartfelt dedication. Sarah had broken through the barriers of prejudice by wholeheartedly helping Mr. Anderson experience his dream car. Despite relentless pressure from her colleagues, she persisted, offering him a dignified and valuable experience. Surprisingly, Mr. Anderson confessed that he wasn't yet financially ready to purchase the car. While her colleagues mocked her for this, Sarah felt no disappointment, only the quiet joy of doing her job right. Where will this story go next? Will Sarah's patience and professionalism be rewarded? Don't miss the next chapter to uncover the dramatic developments yet to come. Share your thoughts in the comments below. 3 days later, the Mercedes showroom bustled as usual. The crystal lights glistened brilliantly, reflecting off the gleaming cars proudly displayed. The staff were busy attending to well-dressed customers who spoke with sophistication. But the lively atmosphere abruptly shifted when the automatic glass doors slid open and Mr. Anderson walked in again, clad in his familiar old suit and holding his wooden cane. A hush fell over the space. One employee glanced at Mr. Anderson, sizing him up, and whispered to a colleague, "He's back again. What's going on here? Last time he clearly said he couldn't afford it." The other replied with a dismissive smirk, "Don't let him in anymore. We don't have time for this nonsense." One of the staff quickly approached the entrance, blocking Mr. Anderson's path. Although attempting to maintain a polite demeanor, his eyes betrayed skepticism. "Sir, the showroom is very busy today. If you're not here to buy a car, it's best not to disrupt our operations." Mr. Anderson remained as composed as before, his voice calm yet firm. "I just want to take another look. I won't disturb anyone." The employee shook his head, forcing a tight-lipped smile. "I'm sorry, sir, but we need to prioritize customers who are seriously interested." At that moment, a familiar voice came from behind. "He is a customer, and everyone who walks in here deserves to be treated with respect." Sarah stepped forward, her expression resolute, though her face still carried a gentle smile. She moved between Mr. Anderson and her colleague, positioning herself protectively. "I'll assist him. If there's an issue, I'll take full responsibility." From a distance, the senior staff watched the scene unfold, their expressions a mix of irritation and disdain. One of them muttered under their breath, "There she goes again. This will probably be another waste of time." Sarah bowed slightly and greeted Mr. Anderson with a warm smile. "Hello, sir. It's great to see you again. How can I assist you today?" Mr. Anderson looked at her, his expression full of satisfaction. "I'd like to take another look at the S-Class from last time. There are still a few things I don't fully understand." "Of course. Please let me guide you to the VIP lounge to rest first. I'll prepare everything for you," Sarah replied. She led him to the VIP room, poured him a glass of water like before, and carefully brought along brochures and her notebook. As Mr. Anderson asked about the advanced features of the car, Sarah diligently answered his questions, each response clear, enthusiastic, and without the slightest hint of impatience or annoyance. When Mr. Anderson expressed his desire to see the car again in person, Sarah immediately escorted him to the display area. She opened the car door, courteously invited him to sit, and began explaining in detail the specific features he was interested in. Mr. Anderson sat quietly in the driver's seat, his hand gently stroking the leather-wrapped steering wheel, his eyes reflecting deep thought. From a distance, the senior employees continued to watch, their envy evident. One furrowed his brow. "Does she really think this will lead to anything? He's clearly just playing a game." Another laughed mockingly. Let's see what excuse he uses to walk away this time. Bet he can't even afford the first monthly payment. Sarah overheard their whispers but didn't react. She remained entirely focused on her task, her professional demeanor unshaken. When Mr. Anderson stepped out of the car, he turned to Sarah with a faint smile. Thank you. You've been an incredible help to me. But I still think I'm not financially ready to purchase this car. Sarah paused for a moment, but then her friendly smile returned. Her tone was gentle as she said, "That's absolutely fine, sir. I'm just glad I could help you understand the car better. Whenever you're ready, please feel free to come back. I'll always be here to assist you." Mr. Anderson nodded, a glimmer of joy in his eyes. "I'll see you next time. Thank you for treating me with such kindness." Hearing his words, the senior employees couldn't hold back their laughter. One shook his head dismissively. "Told you, just a waste of time." But the showroom's atmosphere abruptly shifted as a luxurious Maybach pulled up right in front of the entrance. A middle-aged man in a sharp black suit stepped out, his eyes scanning the room with an authoritative air. It was none other than the branch manager. He entered the showroom, his gaze stopping on Mr. Anderson. In an instant, his expression transformed from stern and detached to astonished, then to one of profound respect. "Chairman Anderson, I had no idea you were visiting us unannounced," the branch manager said, his voice filled with respect. The showroom fell into stunned silence. The senior employees stood frozen, disbelief etched on their faces. One stammered, "See, Chairman Anderson." The branch manager turned to them, his expression stern. "That's correct. He's the chairman of the board of directors for the company. Everything he observed here today will directly impact the corporation's evaluation of this branch." Mr. Anderson looked at Sarah, a warm smile spreading across his face. "You've done an excellent job. Thank you for treating me like a real customer, not just another statistic." Sarah bowed slightly, expressing her gratitude. The other employees remained silent, their faces pale. A tense atmosphere gripped the room as realization sank in. Mr. Anderson exited the showroom, but the oppressive weight of the moment lingered. Sarah stood in place, her heart swelling with pride. She knew that today she hadn't just done her job, she had demonstrated to everyone the importance of respect and professionalism. 3 days earlier, Mr. Anderson had returned to the showroom, drawing skepticism from the senior staff. Yet again, Sarah was the only one who welcomed him with genuine sincerity. But this time, everything changed when the branch manager recognized Mr. Anderson as the company's chairman. His identity revealed, the entire showroom was left in shock. What happens next? How will the unprofessional employees face the consequences? And will Sarah receive the recognition she deserves? Stay tuned for the next chapter to find out. Don't forget to hit like and share your thoughts in the comments below. As Mr. Anderson left the showroom, his steps were slow yet commanding, carrying an air of dignity. He said nothing more as the automatic glass doors closed behind him, leaving the showroom in a tense silence. Sarah stood by the entrance, bowing respectfully to see him off, her gaze filled with sincerity and respect. As his figure disappeared from view, she returned to her desk, resuming her work as usual, though she couldn't ignore the feeling that something significant had just shifted. Across the showroom, the senior employees could no longer maintain their smug expressions. One by one, they exchanged nervous glances, their faces pale. The quiet authority of Mr. Anderson as he left, coupled with the confirmation of his identity from the branch manager, left them deeply unsettled. "Chairman. The chairman of the company." "Really?" one whispered, his voice trembling. "How? How did we treat him?" another stammered, their voice shaky. The questions repeated among them, but no one had an answer. Unease was etched onto each face. One of them tentatively approached the branch manager, attempting to explain. "Sir, we didn't know he was the chairman. We truly didn't mean any disrespect." The manager didn't respond, only casting a cold glance in their direction. "What you did, he saw for himself. I suggest you prepare yourselves. Everyone will need to provide a full explanation." The following morning, the atmosphere in the showroom was unusually heavy. The senior employees gathered near the reception desk, their faces betraying their anxiety. They whispered among themselves, "Do you think yesterday's events will be reported to the company? I'm worried about being reprimanded. But what if we get fired?" As they continued murmuring, the branch manager entered the showroom, carrying a folder in his hands. His face remained stern as he stopped in the center of the space, scanning the room before speaking firmly. "I have an important announcement for all employees." The showroom fell silent immediately, all eyes turning toward the manager. Worry and apprehension were evident on every face as they braced for what was to come. Following yesterday's visit, the company has made a decision, the branch manager announced. "Sarah, as of today, you are officially a permanent employee of this branch. Furthermore, due to your outstanding performance and professional work ethic, you are being promoted to sales manager." The room fell completely silent. Sarah shot to her feet, too stunned to speak. She stammered, "Sir, I—" The manager gave her a rare, gentle smile, his tone warm for the first time. "This is a decision made by the corporation and Chairman Anderson himself. He was deeply impressed by your dedication and professionalism and has entrusted you with this important role. Congratulations." A smattering of hesitant applause came from the other employees, but their expressions betrayed forced smiles. Their eyes were filled with jealousy and regret as they watched Sarah step forward to accept the manager's congratulations. After congratulating Sarah, the manager's demeanor turned stern again as he faced the senior staff. "As for the rest of you," he said coldly, "I require each of you to submit a detailed report explaining how you treated Chairman Anderson during both of his visits." One employee tried to defend themselves. "Sir, we honestly didn't know he was the chairman. If we had known, we certainly would have." The manager interrupted sharply. "Precisely because you didn't know who he was, your behavior reflects your true attitude towards customers. This is not only a violation of the company's service standards, but also an unprofessional action that is entirely unacceptable." The employees lowered their heads, their faces pale. The manager continued, "I will send these reports directly to the corporation. Ensure that everything is honest. Any unprofessional conduct will be dealt with seriously." Sarah, though she had just received wonderful news, maintained her composure. She quietly returned to her desk and began tidying up her unfinished work. Despite her promotion, she showed no signs of arrogance or pride. Instead, she felt a deep gratitude, knowing her dedication and sincerity in her work had been recognized. As the senior employees left silently to write their reports, one of them glanced at Sarah with a hint of embarrassment in their expression. "I'm sorry. We didn't believe in you. You've really done a great job." Sarah smiled gently and replied, "It's okay. I was just doing my job. I hope we can all work together better from now on." By the end of the day, the showroom had returned to its usual calm. Sarah sat in her new manager's office, her gaze drifting toward the window, her heart filled with gratitude and determination. She knew that today's events were not just her personal success, but a testament to an important lesson: professionalism and respect are always recognized, even when you don't know who's watching. A week later, the branch manager called a critical meeting for all employees. The atmosphere in the meeting room was tense as everyone sat silently, waiting for the manager's announcements. On his desk lay detailed reports outlining each individual's attitude and actions during Mr. Anderson's 2 visits. The manager stood up, his voice slow but firm. "After reviewing these reports, I have submitted them to the corporation. Based on their evaluation, I am now announcing the following decisions." The room fell into a suffocating silence. First, certain employees demonstrated severe discriminatory and unprofessional behavior. These individuals will face the highest level of disciplinary action. The corporation has decided on immediate termination. Gasps and quiet sighs filled the room as several faces turned pale. Heads dropped, too ashamed to meet anyone's gaze. For the remaining employees, the corporation believes there is still room for improvement. However, to ensure fairness, your salaries will be reduced by 70% for 6 months as a warning and to give you time to demonstrate meaningful change. The room erupted into worried murmurs. One employee stood up, trying to explain. "Sir, we didn't mean to act disrespectfully. We just didn't know who he was." The manager stopped him with a sharp look. "That is precisely the issue. We must never judge a customer based on their appearance or personal assumptions. This is a fundamental rule of customer service. If you cannot understand this, perhaps you are not suited for this job." Following the meeting, the manager announced a series of significant changes to the branch's employee training protocols. All staff, including longtime employees, were required to participate in a month-long retraining program. The program would focus on the corporation's core values: professionalism, respect for customers, and excellence in service. Sarah, in her new role as sales manager, was entrusted with organizing and overseeing the retraining program. She worked tirelessly, from drafting the curriculum and coordinating with the corporation to invite training experts, to monitoring the progress of each employee. Her dedication and sense of responsibility earned the admiration of everyone involved. The remaining employees, though initially envious, gradually recognized Sarah's leadership skills and fairness as they worked alongside her. She displayed no arrogance and was always willing to assist anyone in need, fostering a more positive work environment at the branch each day. 3 months later, the Mercedes showroom was livelier than ever. Thanks to the reforms in processes and workplace culture, the quality of service had improved significantly. Under Sarah's devoted leadership, the branch achieved the highest sales in the region, a record-breaking milestone. During a corporate review meeting, the branch manager praised her efforts without hesitation. Sarah is a perfect example of an employee who always prioritizes the customer. Her dedication and professionalism have transformed this branch entirely. These achievements caught the corporation's attention. At the end of the month, Sarah received an official invitation from headquarters, offering her the role of Regional Deputy Sales Director. It was a major step forward, not only a recognition of her hard work but also a testament to the value of persistence and integrity. At her farewell gathering with the branch, Sarah stood before her colleagues with a radiant smile and a modest tone. "I'm so grateful to everyone who has supported me during this time. The success of this branch is not mine alone, it belongs to the entire team. I believe we've all learned an important lesson together: never judge a book by its cover, and always treat customers with sincerity." From her new office at headquarters, Sarah gazed down at the showroom where her journey had begun. She knew the road had not been easy, but every step was meaningful. The lessons from Mr. Anderson and the cultural transformation of the branch had helped her grow stronger and more resilient in her career. In another corner of the world, Mr. Anderson sat quietly in his chairman's office, reviewing reports about the branch where Sarah once worked. A smile spread across his face as he thought, "Sometimes a small change can create a big difference." And Sarah, that young woman, was the one who made it happen. The story at the Mercedes showroom is not just a lesson for the former employees or a significant milestone in Sarah's career, but also a profound message about the value of respect and professionalism. From Mr. Anderson's quiet observations to Sarah's resilience under pressure, everything points to one undeniable truth: never judge people by their appearance. In the final meeting before Sarah officially transitioned to her new position, the branch manager emphasized, "Our story doesn't end here. Let this be a reminder that every person who walks into this showroom deserves respect and dedicated service, regardless of who they are, how they look, or their financial capabilities. The value of a brand lies not only in its products but also in how we treat people." The remaining employees, despite their past mistakes, had gained a clearer understanding. One of them shared, "In the past, I always thought this job was just about selling cars and hitting sales targets. But after this experience, I've realized that the most important thing is how we respect every customer and our colleagues around us." The story of the Mercedes showroom extended far beyond the branch itself. The corporation used this incident as a hallmark example in global training programs, emphasizing the importance of dedication and a professional attitude. Sarah was invited to share her story at seminars, inspiring hundreds of employees and managers alike. Meanwhile, Mr. Anderson's tale as a chairman willing to disguise himself to evaluate the core values of his brand garnered widespread admiration. His humble image, clad in a simple suit and carrying a wooden cane, became a symbol of humility and wisdom. Both Sarah and Mr. Anderson became celebrated figures in articles, videos, and media stories, serving as living proof that respect can change everything from individuals to entire systems. And ultimately, the journey of Sarah and Mr. Anderson concluded not merely with changes at one showroom or within a corporation, but with a broader message for everyone. Always treat others with respect and sincerity, because you never know how your actions might affect someone else. Sometimes, a simple smile or a small act of kindness can transform an entire narrative. With renewed energy for her work and life, Sarah continued to excel in her career, inspiring her new colleagues. Meanwhile, Mr. Anderson, the chairman, quietly observed from the background, continuing his mission to build not just a world-class brand, but also a humane service culture. Thank you for following this meaningful story. If you found today's lesson valuable, please share this story with more people. Your support motivates us to continue delivering deeper, more humanistic stories in the future. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with upcoming stories. Every share from you is a great encouragement for us. Thank you and see you in the next story.